Hey y'all, it's me again. I'm going to continue reading from my book, The 1900s. Let's go! There's another piece of sporting equipment. That afternoon, the Wrights turned to the pleasant task of informing the world of their triumph. But it seemed that the world wasn't interested. A warrior telling their father to inform press produced nothing even in their hometown paper, the Dayton Journal. Some editors agreed with Simon Newcomb. A flying machine was impossible. Others confused airplanes with airships. Everyone knew that the great Santos Dumont could keep his dirigible up an hour, make it circle the Eiffel Tower, do all sorts of things. Unless an aviator could match this, there was no story. Only editor Keville Glennon of the Norfolk Virginian plot really understood. He had first heard of the Wrights in 1902 while covering shipwreck on the Carolina coast. He instinctively realized it would be a great story if they ever got off the ground. Through a leak in the local telegraph office, Glennon now learned it had happened. He bannered the news across his front page, but attempts at the Virginian pilot to sell the story elsewhere fell flat. Only 5 papers bought the item and gingerly ran it the following day. When others finally picked it up later, the news proved quite a challenge to the city desk. No one knew quite how to handle the Wrights' achievement. The New York Tribune solved the problem in the neatest fashion. It carried the item on the sports page, just underneath the account of a sandlot football game in Brooklyn. That seemed the best place, even after the new invention was better understood. Many of the most ardent enthusiasts thought of it only as a piece of sporting equipment. As late as 1907, a speaker at the International Aeronautical Congress thought that, at best, a flying machine might someday prove useful in explorations of otherwise inaccessible places, such as mountaintop swamps or densely wooded regions. All agreed that a little commercial future. The Wrights didn't think anyone would fly at night, and most authorities felt no one would ever build a machine large enough to carry a payload. Even in 1911, aviation expert W.B. Camphert, I think that's how you say his last name, believed that the invention would probably remain a racing machine for gilded youth. Mr. Camphert also felt that the machine had little use in war, that wholesale destruction of life and property which was obviously to follow from the mere existence of military flying machines firing with bombs and grenades is not to be looked for. The reason Camphert went back to a homely analog. Every small boy knew how hard it was to drop a snowball on someone from a third-story window, while it would be all the more difficult to hit anything from a machine flying 35 miles an hour. Acknowledgement at last. The Wrights themselves thought that their invention would be a great force for peace. Through aerial reconnaissance, each side could learn what the other was doing and wouldn't dare start anything itself. Their friend Octave Chanute agreed. Writing them in 1905, he even went a step further. He thought the invention will make more for peace in the hands of the British than in our own, for its existence will soon become known in a general way, and the knowledge will deter embroilments. It shows Chanute had cause for hope. In 1904, the Wrights didn't go to Kitty Hawk, flew instead from Torrance Hoffman's pasture near Dayton. By October, they had made over 50 flights without attracting their neighbors, much less anybody in Washington. Then one day, a letter unexpectedly arrived from Lieutenant Colonel J.E. Capper of the Royal Aircraft Factory at Aldershot. He would like very much to meet them. The colonel and his wife proved charming guests. He knew a good deal about the Wrights. In fact, that was why he was here. Would the Wrights care to propose terms towards supplying their machine to His Majesty's government? The Wrights said they would think it over, and January 1905 wrote a letter still marking time. 8 days later, they launched a serious campaign to interest Washington. For a long while, they got nowhere. Twice, in fact, they received from the War Department virtually the same form letter of refusal. Ultimately, there was the appropriate happy ending. The British negotiations fell through. Washington saw the light, but not until 1907. After Wright had enjoyed nearly 4 years of successful flying. Inventions that really count. It wasn't that Americans were oblivious of progress. They were enchanted when they understood. But the inventions that carried real meaning, that made life so exciting, were the simple things. A steady stream of them poured out these days, touching one and all, enriching the life of everyone. The safety razor, the perpetual pencil, the subway, the long-distance telephone, and outreach from New York to Omaha. With wonders like these, there seemed no end to the possibility. Nobody even blinked at the advertisement for Best Light, a mysterious method that gave 6 times more light than electricity, cost only 2 cents a week. Wow. The home especially seemed to take on new attractiveness from these inventions that really counted. For the first time, plumbing was coming into its own. The luxury and pleasure of a shower bath, to declare the sanitary ad, is a revelation to those not already acquainted with its charming delights. Entertainment too broad in its scope and meaning. There was, of course, a new Victor talking machine that played discs instead of the usual cylinder. But what especially intrigued people was the kinetoscope, or Vitagraph. It had a dozen names that projected moving pictures on a screen. It had been the tag end of vaudeville shows since the late 90s. That would be the 1890s, not the 1990s. I'm just saying that just in case you all were confused by what I meant by the late 90s. But now it was suddenly coming into its own. First, little theaters, and now in 1903, a film with a plot. The life of an American fireman that instantly promised a whole new field of diversion. Why was that so hard for me to say? I don't know. The automobile also was drawing closer to daily reality. It was even getting reliable. In the late summer of 1903, as the Wrights prepared their power flight, the whole nation cheered E.T. Fetch and M.C. Corral, I think that's how you say his last name, the dauntless pair who made the first coast-to-coast auto trip. They drove the Packard Pacific from San Francisco to New York in 52 days, but the press assured the public that despite this fast time, they had many difficulties along the way. One stretch, according to popular mechanics, made the Ottawas think they had certainly strolled beyond the domains of human aggression. An indefatigable perseverance and determination, however, successfully steered them out of this unearthly region. It turned out that the editor was referring to Utah. The afternoon after Theodore Roosevelt won the 1904 presidential election, Wilbur and Orville Wright dragged their Whopper flying machine out of its weather-beaten shed in the Hoffman pasture near Dayton. Wilbur climbed aboard and took off on a 3-mile flight that lasted over 5 minutes. It was their longest to date and flown specifically in honor of what they called the phenomenal political victory. As usual, they drew no headlines, but in the end, this was perhaps inevitable. For the Wrights remained simple, unostentatious mechanics. Basically, they were still the proprietors of a small-town bicycle shop. They never pretended to be anything else, and the activities of such men, however talented, enjoyed little popular interest. These were the days before the emergence of the scientist and inventor, or even the sport and movie star. As a public personality, for the vicarious glamour that enriches drab lives, people turn invariably to the dazzling world of society and fashion. Please rate, comment, and subscribe down below. And if you're on TikTok, please like and follow me. And if you're and please buy something on my Mercari and eBay. And if you want my username for that, comment down below because I'm not gonna give it out. Okay, bye.